All those stories coming up this morning. And joining me to talk about it, Fox Business Network's Dagen McDowell, Wall Street Journal Assistant Editorial Page Editor James Freeman with us, and Fox News contributor Kat Timpf. Good morning.
Morning.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
Good to be here.
Yeah, good show this morning because we have a lot going on. Shots fired on the campaign trail. Democrats continuing to attack Trump after the leaked videotape of his describing sexual advances toward women, while the Republican nominee tried to get his campaign back on track. Listen.
We don't even think that most Republican politicians actually really believe that Donald Trump's qualified to be president. They're all like, man, this is really bad.
I said last June he was unqualified and unfit to be president and commander-in-chief. And I believe every day that goes by, he proves that himself.
Instead of the issues, they've slandered and libeled me with false accusations, but we will not let these lies distract us from our campaign. And it's a campaign of truth. It really is.
Joining me right now is former New York Lieutenant Governor Betsy McCoy and Fox News contributor Richard Fowler. Good to see you both. Thanks so much for joining us.
Here,
Fox News poll shows Hillary Clinton leads now by 7 points, 7% among likely voters. This poll coming after the leaked videotape. Democrats are having a field day with this issue, and voters seem to be taking it to heart. It is having an impact. Betsy, your thoughts?
My thoughts are that the American people deserve a fair election. And Donald Trump has denied the allegations. In this country, everyone gets a fair trial. They're innocent until proven guilty. But unfortunately, when the major media run the story on the front page of the New York Times and then run it continuously on your competitors' cable news networks, continuously, that's predetermining Donald Trump's defeat without a fair trial. That's what's really troubling me. In one case, it's an accusation by a woman that she was groped on a plane, and neither CNN nor the New York Times has been able to confirm that Donald Trump and this woman were ever on a plane together. So to put it on the front page of the Times, it makes me wonder. For example, I look back at how many young men have been thrown off college campuses accused of sexual assault, and then it later turned out they weren't. Or the Duke lacrosse players, or UVA, or Tawana Brawley. So all I'm saying is, let's wait for the truth to come out.
But don't you think accusations against a presidential candidate, I mean, that's news.
It is definitely news.
She gave an interview. She
They
said,
must be
you think she's
reported.
lying?
Pardon me?
Well, is she lying? I mean, you say
I have no idea, and I would never accuse her of lying. I am not going to attack
just say
this lady.
we want to
I'm saying
confirm
that in our system of government, we try to get at the truth, and we just moderate things until that point. So let's try to be fair.
Well, I mean, Trump is threatening to sue Richard. He wants to sue the New York Times for these allegations of sexual assault against him. You're laughing. The publication is saying, bring it on. The New York Times attorney released this statement, and he says, we published newsworthy information about a subject of deep public concern. If Mr. Trump disagrees, we welcome the opportunity to have a court set him straight. Is Trump doing more hurt than good by suggesting he will sue the New York Times? What does this suit add to this?
I'm laughing at this frivolous threat made by Donald Trump. And to answer Betsy's question, I completely agree with you. I think there are times where there's false accusations of rape or assault. But what makes this more damning for Donald Trump is that video where he is on the plane, he's on the bus talking to Billy Bush about what he's done to women, what he likes to do to women. That is what makes this so problematic. And because Donald Trump has not answered this video, the multiple times he's been asked to answer this video, that is what's created this sort of firestorm for his campaign. This campaign is off the rails.
He did answer it. He apologized, right? He said, I'm embarrassed by it, and it was a long time ago, and I'm sorry. He did say all of that. I mean, he's not answering.
No, but he's not answering. But here's the thing: this is why all these cases now have some sort of might have some truth to them. There might like people say, where there's smoke, there's fire, Maria. And so you have this video, right? You have a couple of pageant folks coming out talking about how he's been in dressing rooms. He admits that he's been in dressing rooms. There's the Howard Stern interview. This is a slippery slope here.
Most of those
Even
things aren't
Melania Trump, his former wife,
walking into a dressing room saying something on Howard
No, wait a minute, Betsy.
Sexual assault.
You make a good point, Richard. I mean, go ahead, Dagen.
But people are, particularly women who are on the fence about Donald Trump, are less likely to make excuses for him, period, because of the way he's talked about women for a really long period of time. I warned people when he declared his candidacy, look at how he's talked about women and the name calling, what he did to Megyn Kelly all those months would not, I mean, he literally, I mean, it was over and over and over again. And to this point, politically, from a campaign perspective, listening to the clips from the rally yesterday, one of his big problems is now he spends roughly half that one of the rallies talking about the New York Times, talking about these allegations and say we have evidence that these allegations are false. He's literally spending his rallies talking about that. Instead, as Maria has brought up since the campaign started last year, the issues, the things that should matter to voters.
You are so right. And in fact, even this week when WikiLeaks came out, and Mrs. Clinton was quoted as saying she wanted a single hemisphere common market, open borders, open trade. And I thought this will kill employment in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, because we've already seen in the last year jobs held by foreign-born workers up 5%, jobs held by Americans up only 1%. So there's a lot of job displacement going on, foreign workers taking American jobs. This is something people should be really concerned about.
I think trade is what works in the economy, and I think that would probably help us. But just to get back to, he is having to address this. I think a lot of voters are wondering too, and they've seen this before, and it is, I think, it's difficult for a voter when this guy's been in the public eye a long time. He's been running for president a year and a half, and now a few weeks before Election Day, all of this stuff comes out. The New York Times several months ago did a long piece on his relationships with women and pointed out that he actually was kind of a trailblazer in hiring women to run construction projects in the New York City area. So I don't know if they just missed it then or maybe there's more to it.
They waited for the time that it would have the most impact. Let's face it. There's no secret here.
I was on last night with two biographers, each of whom had written a 400 or so page biography, very critical of Donald Trump. Thousands of footnotes. Neither one of them had any allegations in these very critical books of Donald Trump assaulting anyone. There was that, of course, divorce papers.
Wait a minute, Betsy.
My point is if you ignore the mainstream media coverage, if you ignore what has even happened in the last week, it is his own voice and his own actions.
That's right.
He ultimately,
That's absolutely it.
But I'm just talking about what he did just in Twitter the last year and a half.
The timing is so off.
Isn't this the strategy, Richard? I mean, let's face it. He does have a very simple, straightforward message on the economy. Most small business people will say they're desperate for that 15% corporate tax rate. He's got a good message on economics. She doesn't have as cohesive a message on the economy. We really don't know what her economic plan is. Come on, we don't. And so she's got to take him off message. The other thing is the timing of all of this. Hillary Clinton used 21 different variations of the statement, "I do not recall," when answering questions about private email server in court papers revealed yesterday. Richard, let's talk. I'm not taking anything away from the argument against Trump. That's not what this is about. But when you're looking at Hillary Clinton, I mean, she's accused of permanently erasing emails on her private server. So no one's talking about it because the oxygen is being sucked up by all of these comments about Donald Trump.
Well, two points on that, Maria. Point number one is that Donald Trump is doing this to himself. Over and over again, it's Donald doing himself. You can't blame the media. You can't blame Hillary Clinton. You can't blame her campaign. You've got to blame Donald Trump for not being a good messenger of his own message. Number two, wait a minute. Number two, on Hillary's emails, over and over again, I've talked about these emails. Hillary spent 11 hours on Capitol Hill talking about these emails. Don't get me wrong. I think Americans find her to be not trustworthy, but that doesn't seem to matter in the most recent Fox News poll because those numbers are baked in. Her campaign has worked tirelessly to sort of bury this issue, but the American people already know about it. What makes this Donald Trump news so damning is, the timing might be the timing, but here's the thing. He said those words on that bus, and that is what's making all of these stories probable. Because you have the bus story, you have Ivania, his wife, when she got a divorce in her testimony, talking about being raped in the marriage, and it all sets it up. He sets it up himself. I'm sorry. It's his words.
Afterwards of that rally, he puts a picture of her up and says, "Oh, what do you think? Look at her." I mean, come on. Is that going to make people think you're not?
Do you want an election that's a referendum on being politically correct, or do we want an election that really chooses?
It's not about political
Betsy,
correctness.
Betsy, I have to stop you right here. You cannot talk about political correctness. You cannot talk rape. Rape is not politically listen. Rape is not politically correct, and every American agrees with that. So let's not have that conversation.
Sexual assault. I've encountered a lot of.
But this is the argument that is used over and over again by the Trump campaign and Trump surrogates. Political correctness, the media. I'm sorry, that doesn't excuse what he said on that bus. That doesn't excuse what he said to women over the past year.
That's
it doesn't excuse
but Hillary Clinton has endangered American security and turned the State Department into her own ATM machine. That is much worse.
You know what's incredible to me?
I don't think so.
Hillary Clinton was so beatable. Two-thirds of the people do not trust her. She was so beatable.
Yeah, she's still beatable.
Knew that. And here we go.
This is why she's still beatable.
They blew it again.
You look at all of the problems, all of the mistakes he's made, and yet she still cannot hit 50% in just about every poll. And I think that's why, if you're a Trump supporter, you hang on to the hope that basically we have here two people with pretty big character flaws. I mean, we don't know all the allegations and which ones are true and which ones aren't. But it comes back to who's going to lead the country, and the only person who's laid out the plan for economic growth is Donald Trump.
I'll dig into the polls later because there's a lot more in here that's troubling.
We're going to get into the polls. Great conversation, Richard Fowler, Betsy McCoy. Good to have you both on the program. Thanks, you.
Maria.
Getting the issues on the table. We appreciate it. Fox Business Network will take you live to the third presidential debate next week.